Thank you for watching CCN Midday News. I'm your host, Captivating Christian, and here are some of your top stories for today, the 4th of June. Tuesday's primary amidst dual crisis and restart the election transformed by the coronavirus. Ferguson elects its first black mayor in the city's history nearly 6 years after the protests solidified the Black Lives Matter movement. A New Jersey police dispatcher resigns over racist comment on black protesters. James Mattis denounced President Trump, described him as a threat to the Constitution. Former Louisville detective who sent 3 innocent men to prison pleads guilty to perjury. And Texas all but opens up all of its businesses at 50% capacity, Governor Abbott says. White woman calls the cops on a black woman for sitting on a bench. And ex-Miss Universe loses brand deal after saying blacks choose to be colored. Let's get to the news. In the middle of a dual crisis confronting this country, voters in 8 states and the nation's capital headed to the voting booth on Tuesday for the single biggest day of voting since the onset of the coronavirus, restarting a primary season thrown into disarray after states postponed their contest and rejected some of the new energy into a transformed campaign trail. The presidential primary and down ballot contest came not only in the midst of an unpredicted circumstances of a pandemic, but as the nation remains gripped with the unrest and protests fueled by the anger and frustration over systematic racial issues compounded by the death of George Floyd, a black man who died after he had been pinned down by a white Minnesota police officer. Voters in Indiana, Maryland, Montana, New Mexico, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, South Dakota, and the District of Columbia held presidential contests. Although the primaries for both parties are already settled with 2 presumptuous nominees in former Vice President Joe Biden and President Donald Trump, Iowa, the first state in the country to hold a presidential contest with its caucus on February 3rd, is set held down ballot primaries for the U.S. Senate, 4 U.S. House seats, among other low-profile races. Ladies and gentlemen, here are my thoughts on this. Yes, we already know that Joe Biden will be the Democratic nominee and President Donald Trump will be the Republican nominee for president in the 2020 election. However, one good thing that came out of these primaries is in Iowa. Iowa has dethroned a Republican by the name of Steve King. Steve King is for years had been very racially insensitive and derogatory in his rhetoric. House Republicans finally figured out a way how to give him the boot. He wind up losing in his primary, and now they will have a new, fresh Republican running on the Republican ticket and a Democrat. So we'll see how that goes for Iowa citizens. But that was nice to know because he's a piece of work. You think Donald Trump is bad? That man is crazy. But anyway, so that was about the only good thing that came of that. I'm glad it didn't turn some people away. I did absentee ballot. I recommend that a lot of us do your absentee ballot if you can. Apply for it now so it can come to you, so you don't have to do the whole thing if you are concerned about what the situation may look later on due to the COVID situation. You might want to do that. That'd be a good option. But yeah, good to know that some people are actually waking up and voting some of these people out. So we'll see. The Missouri city where the death of a black teenager set off weeks of nationwide protests and outrage back in 2014 elected its first woman and black mayor on Tuesday night, according to CNN. Returns from the St. Louis County Board of Elections shows that Etta Jones took 54% of the vote in the race for mayor of Ferguson versus Heather Robbitt with 46%. Nearly 6 years after the white police officer who shot and killed an unarmed teenager, Michael Brown, the mayor-elect defeated her opponent as protests across the U.S. continued over the death of George Floyd. Both Jones is the city's first black mayor and first woman in that office. Jones has worked as a chemist and church pastor, according to her campaign biography. She served on the Ferguson City Council since 2015, and she was also elected as its first African American member. And here are my thoughts on this. Congratulations to her. It's sad that she is the first, not only African American, but the first woman mayor of Ferguson. And Ferguson is, I guess, the population of Ferguson as far as race relations are concerned, isn't it more black, if I'm not mistaken? But I'll double check that. But yeah, so that's interesting. However, again, congratulations to her, and it's nice to see movement in a different direction where she is the first woman and first African American woman to be the mayor of Ferguson. And after the death of Michael Brown, an unarmed teenager who some can remember was shot by a police officer and then was left on the ground for hours. It's just nice to see that there's some change happening, and hopefully they'll be able to turn that city around and really make big changes. So that's great to see. A police dispatcher in New Jersey resigned on Monday after posting a racist comment on Facebook about a black boy at a George Floyd protest. In a photo posted on Facebook, an 8-year-old boy is in a picture at a protest in Boston on Friday, holding a sign that read, "At what age do I go from handsome to a threat?" The dispatcher, Mark Repace, commented, 17, give or take a year or two. Laughing my ass off, totally kidding. Repace, age 21, was suspended on Sunday from the police department in Woodbridge, about 20 miles south of Newark, where he worked for 3 years. Once the department determined he had made the Facebook comment, he was immediately suspended. The spokesperson for the township said on Tuesday. Screenshots of Repace's comment had been shared online. The photo of the boy was taken was by a reporter and anchor of the CBS affiliate out of Boston. Repace could not be immediately reached for comment. The Woodbridge Police Department, however, said in a statement on Sunday that its Facebook page that it was saddened and dismayed by the recent social media posts attributed to one of its civilian employees. The department said that it does not condone this type of behavior from any of its personnel, and it is dedicated to the fair and impartial administration of justice for each member of our community. Some commentators asked the police department's Facebook page why Repace was not fired. Okay, here are my thoughts on this one. Excuse me, sorry about that. Yeah, you 21, and people say, oh, he's 21, he's just a kid. But you grew up in this age where you know that jobs or places of employment look at your social media. They watch what you post because you are a reflection and representation of the company you work for. So, with that said, hopefully you learned a lesson. I'm sorry that hey, when you're 17, when you was 17, or give or take a year or two, you were not a target for the police department. So you got to do stuff and get away with it. I'm sorry. Silly me for not recognizing your privilege. Was that a joke? Or even in a joking manner? No, I don't think so. And I think the only way people are going to stop with this thing is if they start losing their employment and being shamed in their own communities for the stuff that they post, thinking that they have protection behind a computer screen. Just my thoughts. James Mattis, the esteemed Marine general who resigned as Secretary of Defense in December of 2018 to protest Donald Trump's Syrian policy, has been silent up until now, Trump's performance as president, but he has now broken his silence, writing an extraordinary broadside in which he denounced the president for dividing the nation and accused him of ordering the U.S. military to violate the constitutional right of American citizens. Donald Trump is the first president in my lifetime who does not try to unite the American people, does not even pretend to try. Instead, he tries to divide us. Mattis wrote, "We are witnessing the consequences of 3 years of this deliberate effort. We are witnessing the consequences of 3 years without mature leadership. We can unite without him, drawing on the strengths inherited in our civil society. This is not to be easy, as the past few days have shown us, but we owe it to our fellow citizens, to past generations, to bend to defend our promise, and to our children." So here's my thoughts on General Mattis. How can I put this? Yeah, so thanks, but no thanks. It's almost like you're a little too late. I needed someone in that cabinet or a part of that administration, or even a fellow Republican on the other side of the aisle in Congress or in the Senate somewhere, to say something, to speak out while in office or while serving. I think that would have really been the deal, because at the end of the day, he has always been this way. He was that way when you accepted the appointment. That has not changed. So to have this thing like, aha, I get it now, the type of person he is, or where he's headed to take America, or planning to take America in your eyes or your estimation, he's always been going that way. So it's just like, okay, thanks. Did you just wake up to the party? Ex-Louisville detective Mark Haney, who sent 3 innocent men to prison, pleaded guilty Tuesday to perjury for his testimony in 1995, where he wrongly sent men to prison. Haney, who was found to have concealed a confession from Chandler, who spent 9 years behind bars for a murder back in 1993, before he was cleared in 2009 with the help of new fingerprint technology. The city had paid Chandler an $8.5 million settlement after his lawyers showed Haney fed Chandler facts to use in his confession and taped over surveillance video that may have pointed to the real killer. Haney was sentenced in July by the Jefferson Circuit Court judge. The first-degree perjury charge, a felony, carried a sentence of 1 to 5 years in prison, but special prosecutor recommended a 5-year sentence that would be suspended for 5 years. If Stevens imposes it, Hanley would avoid prison time. Allow me to quickly kind of unpack this very microcosm brief summary. So you mean to tell me that this detective committed perjury back in 1995? Three men have spent umpteen years in jail. You wind up giving one of the men, or maybe even a total of all the men, $8.5 million. And the person who caused them to be in jail gets a sentence of just 5 years, wherein which the prosecution cuts a deal to, if they go with the deal, it would be time served, and he would really not even have to even serve 5 years in prison. So he would avoid prison time altogether. So then where lies the punishment? Why can't he go to jail for the same amount of years and actually be in jail the same amount of years that those three men were in jail for a crime they didn't commit? I don't understand. This is the problem with this justice system. Certain people get a slap on the wrist, like, oh, don't do that, while others suffer, and you think $8 million is enough to say, yeah, we sorry, now go on with your life. But you've taken so many years of their life, and they've lost so much to the point where $8 million wouldn't be able to fix it. Again, just my thoughts. Governor Greg Abbott announced his third phase Wednesday of reopening Texas businesses during the coronavirus pandemic, allowing virtually all of them to operate at 50% capacity. This is effective immediately, and there are very limited expectations, Abbott's office said. Restaurants were already permitted to open at 50% capacity. Abbott is allowing them to immediately increase their table size from 6 people to 10. And on June 12th, they can ramp up their capacity to 75%. The people of Texas continue to prove that we can safely and responsibly open our state for business while containing the COVID-19 and keeping our state safe, Abbott said in a statement. While the number of cases continue to rise in Texas, Abbott is enthusiastic that the new cases are largely the result of isolated hotspots in nursing homes, jails, and meat packing plants. Those places make up more than 45% of the new cases over about the last week, according to his office. The state focused on those hotspots has contributed to some of the largest daily cases counts over the past week. Okay, so let me unpack this real quick. So the governor of Texas, Greg Abbott, is reopening Texas. It has been reopening Texas to 50% capacity. By June 12th, they want to do 75% capacity. At the same time in Texas, the rates have been increasing, but only in senior citizen homes, meat packing places, and jails. Okay. If they're increasing because don't correct me if I'm wrong, but don't the meat packing places, aren't they employees? Don't they go home? Okay. And jails and prisons, don't the guards go home? And some of the inmates are released back into society and go to their places of residence. Right. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not big on that, but I guess that would mean that it would increase even further the more people that come in contact. And I get it. People want to open back up and make money, but at what cost do you do it? Do you just do it and say the hell with it? Whoever gets sick at this point? I'm curious. Somebody please help me. Because I just don't. And then to say, oh, we take precautions in our state and we're being safe about it. How could you possibly be safe about something you know nothing about? that we learn something new about every day. So how can you be safe? You can be as safe as possible, or that you possibly can, but to say that you actually have a handle on it, that would be inaccurate. But again, just my thoughts. I'd like to know what you think. The worst time to be a racist white woman is all the time, but especially in the middle of a nationwide protest for George Floyd, and 1 week after another white woman got doxxed to the high heavens for calling 911 on an innocent black man. Nevertheless, that's exactly what a white woman in New York's Upper West Side did over the weekend, repeatedly calling the cops on a black woman for check notes, sitting on a bench and minding her business. The white woman in question.
This is her stroller. This is her stroller. Do you realize how far that is to come all the way over here to sit in my face? She said she's playing the black card. That's her husband. She said, I'm not even paying her no mind. That's how embarrassing she is. I was attacking you. I was attacking you. Because it is my neighborhood. I got the right to sit here.
So now she's filming me. She's calling me a bitch. She came to me and my kids, threatening me. And now she's standing like I'm shaking. I'm pregnant. I have 2 kids with me. And she's filming me right now. This is my building. It's my neighborhood. I'm sitting here by myself, trying to enjoy my time by myself. And this white woman is making me very uncomfortable. I want this video to be gone.
No, we gotta see the type of person that you are. This video will not be deleted. Her husband is literally leaving. Can you imagine that? Me walk with you to the police. Can you imagine that? If Bozo was a person, it would be you. She said I'm threatening her kids. I'm glad all this is on. Because she crying and saying I'm threatening.
Okay, so allow me to unpack this one. Privileged, are we? So we can't sit anywhere. You can't smoke. There's a lot of things you can't do. The list seems to be growing and growing and growing. What black people cannot do in public places or public areas where people congregate. So yeah, this is foolish. And if Bozo was a person, she definitely would be it. And although she's definitely of some sort of foreign origin, Russian, Ukrainian, or what have you, you obviously don't pay attention to the news, because this would be a bad time to want to be that person, because you might mess up your business for your husband, let alone, we know you probably don't work because you're pregnant and you don't sound or anything like you work anywhere, so you might mess up your husband's business, which is why he probably left you standing there after you called the police 3 times. And I'm sure you wasn't charged with any kind of violation, because that actually is warranted by some kind of citation for calling the police 3 times, calling the emergency number 3 times. Or is that just something that happens when we call the police numerous times? Because I thought that was really a thing. So, I mean, you know, I don't know how many Karens they're going to be, but they seem to keep growing, seem to keep coming out the woodwork. And, you know, I don't know, but we'll see. Versus Malaysia 2017, Samantha Katie James has apologized for her controversial comment about the Black Lives Matter movement after facing a massive backlash that led to a petition seeking her removal of her crown. In a series of Instagram stories on Monday, James, age 25, asked the black community to relax and take the current situation as a challenge because it makes you stronger. The beauty queen claimed that African American people actually choose to be born colored and that they did so to learn a lesson. Accept it. It is what it is. Till now, hunger and poverty still exist. It is what it is. It's inevitable. Best you can do is remain calm, protect your heart, and don't allow it to crumble. She added, "That's your responsibility." James pointed out that the matter has nothing to do with her since she does not live in America. However, she believes that those who are respond in anger suggest that whites have won. Real quick, like, what the hell? I'm sorry. Yeah, some people really think that winning a title in regards to how beautiful you look, that they really have the right to talk about issues that they know nothing about. Yeah, not all, beautiful people are empty upstairs, but there are some that really just should keep their mouth closed and just look pretty, and she's definitely one of them. Yeah, that was just totally stupid. I don't even have no words for it. Just, yeah, dumb, shut the hell up all the way. That is the most stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. Like, they should just take the crown away from you just because of you opening your mouth. Like, who gave you that? Trump before he was president? I'm confused. Even how you was even granted a title. That's dumb. But anyway. Once again, thank you for watching CCN Midday News. Hope you enjoyed. Please like, share, and subscribe. Also hit that notification button so you will never miss another news update. Have a great day. Peace.